In this video, I would like to share with you an incident that happened to me during my flight training days at Concord Buchanan Airport in Concord, California. This took place in June of 2012. The incident itself is an engine out incident. My trusted GoPro was in the cockpit with me, recording what I think is a great learning experience that I would like to share. A little bit about me. At that time, I was a student pilot with about 35 or 40 hours of instruction and solo time. This took place during my third solo, so I would have to say that I had no more than an hour and a half of solo time total. Here is the sectional of the Buchanan Field KCCR. This is a really great airport to fly into and out of with mostly good weather year-round. Great airport to practice your communications, crosswinds, and much more. I was the first flight of the day for the aircraft in question, and it was a nice morning. Winds were calm. There were several aircraft in the pattern for 19er left and 19er right, with one more taking off in front of me, as you will see in the video. The run-up went great and did not indicate any issues whatsoever. A little backstory for the actual flight. Traffic taking off in front of me was supposed to stay in the pattern, but for some reason extended the upwind leg all the way up to 950 feet. Because of this, I remained in my upwind much longer, turning to crosswind starting at around 900 feet or so instead of the usual 500. I bring this up to give you an idea of my general positioning and altitude in the first minutes of the flight and at the time of the incident. So as you can see here, the chain of the events is basically I travel upwind, I turn crosswind at around 900 feet or so. At around 950 feet, I pull the throttle to 2200 RPM and the engine quits. I continue my crosswind turn until my nose is pointing in the general direction of the airport. And I land in the driving range just south of the airport itself. When the engine quit, and after a brief scan of my instruments and making sure that I didn't do something stupid like pulling the throttle to idle or yanking out the mixture, I decided to concentrate on flying the plane. I have to be honest with you and say that this is not a conscious decision. At least I don't remember it being a conscious decision. I just felt that I had to concentrate on keeping the plane flying for as long as I could, giving me the best chance possible to finding a landing spot. Post-incident inspection and tests by the FAA determined that the fuel servo had failed, something obviously that was not reparable in flight, and something that I wasn't going to troubleshoot as I was already below 1,000 feet. Also, a little bit about tower communications during the incident. Unfortunately, I was not recording my comms at the time, but I've annotated the conversation the best I could from what I remember. Also, I did not declare an emergency, though I should have. Or I did not say Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Instead, what I did was I said Concord Tower, 01 Whiskey, engine out, and based on my call, the tower declared the emergency for me. They got everyone out of the pattern and provided me everything they could to make sure that the outcome of the incident is a successful one. Really, kudos to everyone in the Concord Buchanan Tower on that day. Here is a Google Maps representation of the scene with the takeoff and landing points marked. The landing point is marked with an orange star, and it's a driving range, just like I said, just south of the airfield. As you can see, this was really my one and only option for landing with Contra Costa Boulevard, which is right here, and Highway 680, which is right here, just to the southwest of the airfield. And those options were really much less desirable. Here is a close-up of the driving range where I had landed and the chain link fence that finally had stopped me. Lastly, before the video, I'd like to point out that this is not, I repeat, not an example of the impossible turn. My altitude at the time of the event was about 950 to 975 feet, and I had my crosswind pretty much completed by the time the engine had quit. Alright, well, thanks very much, and let's get to the video.
01 Whiskey on the ground. You better get somebody over here.
So, in conclusion, I would just like to say that this has been a great learning experience for me, and one that I'd like to pass on through this video. One more thing I'd like to mention is that the FAA Airplane Flying Handbook outlines the typical pilot reaction time at about 4 seconds in case of an emergency. And this is basically your WTF moment. And I want to tell you that it's real. And I explicitly remember thinking, there's just no way that this is happening. But once it passes, your training will take over, and you will continue flying the plane to the best possible landing spot that you can find. Remember your ABCDE acronym, and I know that there are variations on the interpretation of the A's and the B's and the C's and so on and so forth, but right here is the basic one, and I think the best one that my CFIs have passed on to me and that I've used in my training since this incident has happened. So thanks very much for checking out my video. Fly safe and fly a lot.